Hello, hello out there. Video is unavailable. Let's see. Hello? You can see me? Wonder why I don't see me. That's kind of fucked up. How do I see myself? Oh, damn, I just fucked up and, like, hid chat accidentally. Okay. How do I see chat again? Fuck me. I'm screwed up here. Okay, chat settings, top chat. How do I get back to enable chat? That's not what I want to do. Okay, so now I'm actually seeing myself, but I'm like delayed like a mofo. I'm delayed like crazy. Okay, guys, well, you know what? I'm going to say a number, and somebody just type this number in chat, and then I'll know you guys are getting this. The number is 578. Can somebody type 578 in chat? Oh, this is crazy. Okay, cool. So you can hear me. Now, can you see video? Can you see video? Can anybody see video? Yeah, okay. All right, well, I'll just act like normal, I guess. The sound is very low. Was somebody saying the sound was low? I don't know how I changed the sound. I'm turning up the volume of the sound on my... Oh, you know what? Maybe in OBS I need to change the sound, huh? Let me see if I can change the sound in OBS. Sorry, guys, I really don't do much of this, as you can probably see. I tried to turn it up in OBS. I don't know if that'll do anything. But basically, yeah, so the video's delayed for me. I need to watch this OBS video instead. Apologize for the facts. I apologize for the fact that it is not 16:9, okay? My OBS, I don't know what the deal is with my OBS setup. It is messed up. It's not 16:9. It's like this 4:3. I've tried messing with it. But anyway, basically, since it's actually up and running, what I'll go ahead and tell you guys is what's been going on with VR rankings. I apologize, too, for the background noise. I can try closing the door now and just see if it gets too hot, and then I'll close it again later, or open it again later. Hold on one sec. Be right back. Alrighty, so I went ahead and closed the door. And so basically I want to talk to you guys real quick about why there hasn't been any episodes on the channel, kind of what's going on, that sort of thing. And I thought a live stream would be kind of cool because basically, so the biggest problem that I'm having with the channel right now is that I just don't really have the time for the editing is really what it boils down to. So like a typical VR game ranking show that I'll do, like a typical 25-minute VR game ranking show, it basically takes me about 10 total hours, if you can believe that. And that includes like show prep, doing the actual show, and then editing the audio, which is a process that I go through, and then editing the video, which is a process that I go through. And I would say it's probably about 10 hours grand total of an investment that I have to make to be able to do one of those videos. And lately, I just don't have a 10-hour segment of time to be able to do that. And so that's kind of why you guys haven't been seeing any videos in quite some time. I just haven't had time. The other problem that I've been having is the heat. And oh my God, dude, the heat is just a ridiculous factor here in Sacramento, because let me explain it to you guys this way. Okay, first of all, I have an air conditioner that is running right now in the background. I don't know if it will come up. It comes up when I'm editing audio, but I don't know if it comes up on the finished YouTube video. But just outside this door is my air conditioning unit. It's right out there. And so when the air conditioning is constantly running, that is making noise. And then also the like furnace or whatever is in this door right here that you can't see, and that kicks on to like power the air conditioning or whatever, I don't know. But there's a lot of noises that are going on. And then for me to have the proper lighting, I have a light over there and I have a light over here. And actually, you know what, my OBS video is better. Do you guys notice that? The OBS video quality is better. The video probably looks better right now than it normally would on my normal shows. And that's because I'm using this Logitech camera stuff rather than OBS. And the only reason I'm using Logitech is because I'm getting a 16:9 video window, where for some reason when I'm in OBS, I'm getting like this 4:3 video window. And I've tried screwing with all the settings. I think what I'm ultimately going to have to do is actually delete OBS completely off of my computer, re-download OBS, and kind of redo the whole entire thing is what I'm probably going to have to do to fix OBS. Yeah, 2RM Games says, just do live streams and talk about VR once a week. You know what? I'm actually thinking about doing live streams a hell of a lot more consistently than once a week. In fact, I could probably do this per day. I just don't know how entertaining this would be, you know, because I'm not going to have any video screens or nothing. Like, basically what I would do is I just turn on the lights, I turn on my mic, I turn on the camera, you know, get things set up, boom, hop on for a half an hour or however long it would be. And then I'm moving my keyboard back over here. I would just hop on for however long it would be, and then that would be that. And so it would just be kind of this little live stream thing. And it's lame because that's what I was doing in the very beginning. If you went back and looked at the very first shows of VR Game Rankings daily vlog, it looks very similar to this. It was this squared freaking camera, and you know, and there was no video editing, no little window with videos running or pictures or anything like that. That's how we started off with this daily vlog. And nobody watches those. So I don't know that people are really going to be entertained with just seeing my mug on a screen. However, what I will say, though, is this is easy as pie. Like, I could do this anytime. If I don't have to worry about any editing or anything, I can come on here every day and do this. So you guys are probably bored with all of this talk. So we should probably actually get to some news. And I didn't really have a plan. This was just a complete experiment. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to the Vive subreddit, which I'll be honest, guys, I'm an Oculus Rift owner, been an Oculus Rift owner for some time, but you know the subreddit that I go to before anything else is the Vive subreddit. And that's because I started off with an HTC Vive. April 2016, I was living in this subreddit, probably spent like 6 hours a day. I mean, well, now that sounds really bad, but it may have been like that. Like, so hyped for the arrival of VR, and I put my order in for a Vive. I was kind of late on the putting my order in. So I didn't get a Vive like immediately. I got my Vive in a little bit later in April. Like some people had already got their Vives, and I was like, oh man, these guys already got their Vives. But the thing about it is, old habits die hard. And so when I'm going to, the first thing I go to before anything, before going to any news site, anything, the first website I pop up is the Vive subreddit. And so I'm looking at the Vive subreddit here, and the big story of the day is Virtual Link, which is this new connector. And this has been the lead story. Like right now, you know, it's got 157 upvotes, I guess, 61 comments. I'm on the Vive subreddit right now. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And I did read about this. And so the cool thing about this is an alliance between the biggest players in the game. You know, we're talking Microsoft, Valve, Oculus, AMD, NVIDIA. I mean, really, the only other logos that we're not seeing up there, you kind of would like to see maybe an HTC Vive logo. You kind of maybe want to see a Google logo up there, a couple of additional logos, but you know, these are the big players. So basically what they're doing is they are backing a new connector standard, which would be for future VR headsets called Virtual Link. Now, the thing about Virtual Link is it doesn't appear to be like some new technological wonder of any kind. What it really appears to be is that they just want to combine power, USB, and then the video information into a single cable just to make it convenient. And, you know, you just have a single cable rather than having like these ribbed cables with multiple connector things, you know, or a big cable or whatever. They want to get it locked into a single cable and kind of make it a standard for any tethered VR headsets. And so what it's going to combine is it's going to combine the USB 3.1 data channel. It's going to combine 27 watts of power, and then it has the 4 high-speed HBR3 display port lanes. And so that's kind of the basics of it. Now, obviously, nothing uses this right now, but there were rumors with NVIDIA, with the newest NVIDIA cards, there's rumors that there's going to be some new type of connector on it. So obviously, now that we're hearing about this, everybody is putting 2 and 2 together, and they're saying, oh, the brand new NVIDIA cards, which are going to be coming in the very near future, are going to have this Virtual Link connector. And so I'm in the Virtual Links Vive subreddit, and I'm looking at the comments, and the #1 comments is by Tech All Bodies. He's got 35 points on this right now. For those wondering, 4 lanes of HBR3 DisplayPort basically means it's the same as DisplayPort 1.4. So this is basically just a single cable solution which combines, you know, video. It combines 10 gigabits a second of USB 3.1 for sensors, cameras, accessories, and it also provides 27 watts of power. The cool thing about this too, though, is if this is going, like if this connector goes to your NVIDIA card, then you no longer need to have like an AC adapter for any of these headsets. So like the, you know, the Vive, you have, of course, the Link, well, the Link box has its own little AC adapter that you got to have plugged into a wall adapter. So this is something that maybe could bypass that because you're going to get watts over over the line. So let me go ahead and hop back to chat because I have not checked it in a little while here. So I have Will Tesler. He's saying less cables is good. Snail Mail Games. I wonder if this will be in AMD cards. Yeah, I mean, if this becomes like a legit kind of standard, it would have to be, right? So my guess is that AMD will figure this out, and they'll hop aboard as well. Lethal Weasel says he's got to go to work. Sorry, bro. We'll see you a little bit later. Yeah, you can go ahead and watch this. I guess I'll just leave these like as a viewable stream later or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the cables thing, you know, to be completely honest with you guys, when I saw this news as kind of like the lead story of the day, this new Virtual Link connector, I honestly was slightly disappointed by this because I'm going to go off on a little slight rant here. And my rant is, I mean, just look at the way VR is right now. We've kind of come to this realization. I think everybody has to come to this realization. VR did not catch on in this first initial attempt to make it happen. That's kind of my thought process. This is another part why I don't have a video right now. It's almost like VR died a little death. And okay, VR as we know it is dead. Now let's resuscitate the patient and let's see how we're going to live as this new VR, because originally we were kind of hoping that VR was going to go mainstream. Oculus Rift, you know, HTC Vive, Ready Player One, PlayStation VR, you know, the masses are going to jump on VR. And I think the thing that we've learned is the masses are not jumping on VR quite yet. Now, that doesn't mean that the ball game is over. Okay, everybody pack up your bags, go home, VR is dead, we failed, it's a done deal. It doesn't mean that. It just means things are going to be a lot slower and it's going to take a lot more time. And so how does this relate to Virtual Link? It relates to Virtual Link because there's a part of me that I think about VR and I'm thinking, should we ever have even launched VR? Like, maybe this should have stayed in the labs until they didn't have wires. I'm serious. I really think like wires, like I can deal with wires, but I'm an enthusiast. And I think part of the reason that a lot of people aren't into VR is because you've got all these wires going across the floor. It just isn't elegant, man. I think I don't even have an Oculus Go. So it's funny because I'm talking about this. You would think I have an Oculus Go and I'm playing my Oculus Go all the time. And that's why I've come to this realization that the tether must be cut. The umbilical cord must be severed. I don't even have an Oculus Go, but I just feel like I think the wires are a problem. And so now we're creating this virtual link, which, what is it? It's wires. And I kind of feel like maybe we should get away from wires. Am I crazy? Now, I know what everybody is going to say is they're going to say, yeah, but dude, if you cut the wires, then now where are you getting your power? Like, where are you getting the graphical power? And you know what the answer is? 5G. No, actually, maybe 5G could be the answer, because if somehow it had a wireless 5G receiver in the headset, and then somehow we can beam the signals from 5, isn't like 5G, like I don't know what is going on with 5G, but I'm always hearing all this stuff about 5G and the latency and all of that, and I think part of it is going to be like streaming videos. See, one of the problems we have with VR video is to have incredibly high quality 360 degrees VR videos. The file sizes would be astronomical. And so the idea with 5G, I think where 5G comes in for VR headsets is, let's say you had some 360 video that was 200 gigs of information, right? And so trying to stream that normally would be ridiculous. Trying to download that would be ridiculous. But if 5G is this magic sauce where it can take 200 gigs of visual information and send it to your headset streaming, with the latency being so incredibly low that it's imperceptible, then maybe that's where 5G comes into play. You know, so I don't know. I mean, this is just a weird situation, right? But it's one of the things that I thought about in regards to Virtual Link is like, we're still on these wires. Like, when are we going to get rid of the wires? Okay, so I'll check out what some of the people are going to say here. Well, Terry Blanchard says, I don't care if the best virtual experience was delivered on wires. I will be for it. Yeah, but Terry, you are an enthusiast. You are an enthusiast, and I'm sure that you have some cousins or nephews or uncles or whatever that you kind of wish they were into VR as well, I imagine. And maybe they're not really into VR, and I think a part of it is the wires. I don't want to overdo it on the whole wire thing. So anyway, let's go back to the Vive subreddit. Let's see, what is the next big story these people are talking about? Well, Racket NX has left early access and is now live on Steam. Yeah, you know, Racket NX, I've always been a fan of Racket NX. You can pick this up right now for $15. Its normal price is $20, so it is out of early access. Let's see what they have on there. They said, you know, they've launched. Today, we're incredibly happy and proud to bring Rakuten X out of early access. See if there's any big... if you haven't played since EA2, here are a few highlights of what's new. Power-ups. A whole lot of new content and a completely new solo campaign. Much improved multiplayer. You can now play your own music. That's sweet. A bunch of new visuals and visuals improvements, player statistics, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah, that's One Hamza, Rakuten X. I really like that game. I mean, I think, honestly, if you want to talk about racket games, you know, how many great racket games are there? There's actually quite a few. I'm a big fan of Cyberpunk VR, which I think Cyberpunk VR is probably one of the most underrated VR games. Like, if I had to rank my top 20 most underrated VR games, Cyberpunk VR would absolutely be in there, because you never hear anybody talk about it. You hear people talk about Rakuten X, you hear people talk about Hollow Ball, and you hear people talk about Spark. I really like Spark. In fact, I think Spark gets some... Like, I think a lot of people don't give Spark the respect it really deserves, and I think a lot of that is CCP Games. The fact that CCP Games has basically given the middle finger to VR in general and said, sorry, bros, we're not doing VR anymore. We're going to bounce out of here. And I think that has reflected negatively on Spark, and I don't think people give Spark the credit it should get. But, you know, Spark, Rakuten X, Hollow Ball, Cyberpunk, all of these games kind of fit into this like next gen racket kind of game, and Rakuten X is solid, no question about it. Let me bounce back to the Vive subreddit, see what else people are talking. Working on haptic feedback gloves. See, you know, a lot of things too is you'll see these stories on the Vive subreddit, and a lot of it is guerrilla marketing, like people talking about certain games, and it's not even like realistic people. It's like, you know, this fake stuff. And then also news, fake news. We've got fake news on the Vive subreddit and everywhere else as well. Let's see. Oh, Amazon Prime Day. Did anybody try to get on Amazon yesterday? Because, oh my God, every time I tried to get on Amazon to look up this or that, I kept getting this like error message with Amazon dogs, you know, seeing all these pictures of dogs. Did anybody else experience that? As far as like Amazon Prime Day and VR, the big deal was the $50 off the Oculus Rift, but they sold out of them incredibly quickly. It was gone. They didn't have a lot of stock in it. I almost feel like Oculus should say, hey, you know, we're going to offer the deal as well at oculus.com for 2 days or something. You know, I mean, what's $50? It's just another, it's fence sitter. It's fence sitter catnip is what it is. Somebody is sitting on the fence. You now offer another $50 off. That is catnip. But, you know, one of the things that is out there on Amazon Prime is the Logitech G29 racing wheel. This is 200 bones, and I'm really tempted to get this because I could use it for PlayStation VR and then also for the Vive and Rift. I mean, I could use it with my PC, so I guess if I was playing Assetto Corsa or Project Cars or anything that uses a steering wheel, I could also use this Logitech G29 racing wheel. $200, you're saving $200. This is the wheel only. It does not include the shifter. It's PS4 and PC compatible. If you also have an Xbox One, there's a version that works with that as well. But I think that's a relatively decent deal. Not sure what you guys think. Let's check the thread. Yeah, I got the dogs too. Got a Switch on eBay for $250. Oh, that's good. Roy Schwartz checking in there. David Cole says, right now at your local Microsoft store, you can get Lenovo Explorer headset and controllers for $150. Yeah, that is really good. But isn't that refurbished? Or if you go to the physical store, you can get them, because I know online they had brand new ones for $150, and I believe it sold out incredibly quickly. But yeah, so I don't know if that's refurbished at the Microsoft Store. Yeah, $150. I mean, it's almost worth buying it just for shits and giggles. Now, you know what? One of the problems, though, with the Microsoft mixed reality headsets, if I went to the Microsoft Store and I bought one of those right now, do you know that I would come home here and I would not be able to use it with my gaming PC? And the reason why is my gaming PC is freaking ancient as hell. I have an i5 2500K from the year of our Lord 2011. See, I built this gaming PC back in 2011, and one of the problems is like the motherboard and the Intel chip and all there, it doesn't have that HBX2 or whatever, you know, that thing that you needed for Google light fields. And there's a couple other experiences that require it. It's like this little add-on part of the Intel chipset that my old ass Intel chip doesn't feature. So I actually would not be able to play the Windows mixed reality at all on my old PC. You need to have that. There's a little thing that you need. So I almost would need to buy a laptop or something that would be compatible with Windows mixed reality. And or really I need an entirely new motherboard. I need to completely rebuild a new PC. I'm excited, actually. I'm excited about the new graphics cards because I have completely skipped this last generation of graphics cards, still rocking a 970, everybody. And I don't have a 1080 Ti or a 1080 or a 1070. Don't have any of that. And I believe like within a month. Okay, so it is new at the store. So if you go to a Microsoft store, you can get a brand new Lenovo package for $150. That is, I mean, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. They're not making any money off that. I don't think they can manufacture those for $150. So you're getting it at cost. That is a freaking great deal. Yeah, the hardware requirements are less than a Rift or Vive. This is David Cole. He's saying the hardware requirements on Windows Mixed Reality is less than Rift or Vive and only requires one USB 3.0 port. But it does require, it requires some kind of CPU instructions that if you have an ancient CPU, like mine is from 2011, basically, I think any CPU like 2013 and newer will have these little instructions on it, and I'm pretty sure Windows Mixed Reality requires those instructions. Snail Mail Games is saying I really want an 1180. Yeah, you probably really want it until you find out the actual cost of it. Then you might not want it. But yeah, Terry Blanchard, can't wait for 1180s. Yeah, I mean, I've completely skipped this last generation, so I figure, yeah, why not jump to, yeah, my 970 is still kicking. Job Below is talking about, speaking of my 970, guys, check this out. You know that game Subnautica? So VR Game Rankings, we recently updated the top 100 list for PSVR, Vive, Rift, etc. This was like early July. We updated all the various rankings. In fact, let me go pop up that list real quick, because I keep seeing Subnautica get ranked so damn high on our charts that it's made me want to play the game. Okay, yeah, let's see. Okay, so the Oculus Rift top 20, Subnautica actually got bounced. It's now ranked at 21. It was in the top 20 before, but Subnautica just ranks so high on everybody's charts. But the thing that I've always heard about Subnautica was it needs a beast of a PC to run halfway decent. Like, it's janky as hell if your PC is under spec. And I've always been rocking this 970. I'm rocking this really old i5 2500K that I do have overclocked to hell and back, and successfully overclocked as well, which is a beautiful thing. I also have my 970 overclocked about as much as you can overclock a 970. In fact, if somebody has a stock 980, my 970 is basically the same exact. It's that overclocked. But I've been playing Subnautica, and fucking A, dude, Subnautica is ridiculous. Subnautica, I'm going to tell you guys right now, Subnautica is in my top 20 best VR games, period. Like, it has entered into that category, and that is an elite fucking category, because we're talking about Lone Echo, we're talking about Robo Recall, we're talking about Talos Principle, we're talking about Fallout 4 VR. You know, we are talking about Skyrim VR. We're talking about the best of the best of the best, and I actually believe that Subnautica is in that freaking conversation. Subnautica might be top 10. You know, I don't want to, like, there's that honeymoon period. You know, you get into a new VR game that you haven't been in before for a long time, or you've never been in it, and you get into it and you're like, oh my God, this is so freaking amazing. There's a honeymoon period. And so you really have to wait for that honeymoon period to expire and then be almost like a month beyond the honeymoon period before you really know how you really feel about a game. And so Subnautica, I'm still in the honeymoon period, so it's hard for me. Like, I don't want to gush ridiculously, but dude, Subnautica is what VR is all about, at least for me. There's nothing I like more in VR than being placed inside an alien world, having an alien world completely surround me, and then just get lost, just get completely lost. And how immersed can I get into this world? And Subnautica does it even better because you're underwater as well. So you're on an alien world, but you're underwater. And I think being underwater on an alien world is actually a very smart idea, because we know exactly what different dolphins look like. We know what regular planet Earth sea creatures look like. So if somebody tried to recreate underwater planet Earth, it would be difficult, because we would immediately notice, oh, that doesn't really look like a dolphin. That doesn't really look like a jellyfish. You know, there's something off with that hammerhead shark. It doesn't really look accurate. But what they did was they decided to roll with an alien world. And so you got these alien sea creatures. So we don't know what they're supposed to look like. And I think that was an incredibly intelligent idea there by the developer. I believe Unknown Worlds Entertainment is a developer. But here's the thing I like about Subnautica. Like, a lot of people will talk smack about Subnautica because they're like, oh, it's a joystick game. Okay, here's a tip for everybody. Just stand up. Just stand up and hold the controller. That's what I do. I put my headset on, I stand up, I hold the controller, and I'll turn my body. I'll turn my body rather than use the snap turning. To a degree, eventually I'll use some snap turning, because then obviously your cord again. Yeah, we get back to the cord. Virtual link. What are we doing? We need to snip the cord. But Subnautica, I'll just hold the controller in my hand and I'll turn. And the other beautiful thing about Subnautica is the bumpers. Like the bumpers on a 360 controller, you can use those bumpers to just dive down into the ocean, and you can use the bumper to dive up, and it moves you really fast. And it's such a beautiful, incredible, colorful world. I mean, it's incredibly colorful. You got the nighttime thing, you got the daytime thing. Now, of course, it's a survival game, so you got like a million little things that you got to pay attention to, like your oxygen, your food situation, your overall health, your water filter, and all of that. So you got all of that playing into it as well. I haven't really gotten into Paradise Decay is saying what's up. Hey, what's up, Paradise? Dude, this guy, Paradise Decay, dude, I give you straight props, because you are always banging videos out, and you are all in on this shit, and I appreciate people that are all in on something. I really do. So much love to Paradise Decay, and anybody else out there. Yeah, I am gushing. That's Roy Schwartz right there. But anybody else out there, if you guys are not watching Paradise Decay, give this guy an opportunity, because he really freaking works hard at this. And I much love and respect to my boy Paradise Decay. Okay, I'm gonna go back through the comments here and see if there's any other stuff that I missed. David Cole is saying, can't wait for the Marvel Powers United VR launching July 26th. Yeah, you know, that is not very far away at all. It is July 17th. That is coming up very soon. I do have some concerns about that game. I talked about it. I don't know if it was on VR Roundtable or what show I was on where I was talking about it. Basically, my biggest concern with Marvel Powers United VR is that because I don't really care that much about co-op, so for me as a single player, my concern is it's just going to be this like arena battling game. Like for what I imagine it's going to be is you're going to have a particular backdrop and you're going to be thrown into this backdrop and you're going to have to battle like endless foot soldiers and like crappy enemies, you know, and it'll kind of go in a wave. There's going to be a main villain that you're going to have to deal with at the end of this stage, basically, the main villain. And I just feel it's going to be kind of like an arena shooter like that. And while that may be fun, I don't know that it's going to be like this thing that is going to like really hold me over. You know, it is a $39.99 game. And so when you're buying individual games for $40, you have to make decisions about that. You know, you have to think about, speaking of $39.99 games, Seeking Dawn. Yeah, below it says, who played Seeking Dawn? Worth the price tag. And you know, it's interesting, guys. I've only tried Seeking Dawn 2 different times. The first time I tried it, I got to this point where it's talking about taking out your backpack. I'm in the training, like the training thing. And you're supposed to hit the X button, I think, on controller number 2 or whatever it is. I'm playing it on the Rift, and they tell you you're supposed to take out your backpack. And I tried hitting the button a million different times, didn't work. The next time I tried to play Seeking Dawn, it just crashed, and I didn't get into the game. So I'm 0 for 2 on Seeking Dawn, but I'm enjoying Subnautica so much that when I want to play VR, I almost go into Subnautica, and I haven't gone into Seeking Dawn. So I know I need to give Seeking Dawn some more, little bit more love there. Okay, let's see. Any news or release news for Torn? You know, Torn should be coming relatively soon based on a lot of stuff that we saw. Yeah, they got a date of August 28th. So Torn looks pretty freaking sweet. Hey, have you guys played Red Matter? Because I finally finished Red Matter, and speaking of like the 20 best games in VR, I'm almost tempted to throw Red Matter up there at the very back end of like my 20 best VR games. And I am a little bit concerned about the honeymoon factor of being in Red Matter. And I have a little bit of smack to talk about in regards to Red Matter. Like, I can be reductive of Red Matter and say that all it is it's basically an escape the room game. You get into a room, you have to figure out what necessary things you have to do to get to the next room, and that's kind of how you're progressing through that game. But the thing that I loved about Red Matter so much is the graphics are just good. You know, even on my crappy ass 970, it's smooth, it runs well, it doesn't have jank. It works really well. It looks really beautiful. You know what the rendering engine reminds me of? It reminds me of First Contact, which is just a good ass rendering engine. Or maybe Robot Repair from the Lab. You know how good that rendering engine? That's kind of the way Red Matter, it's so nice and solid. I feel like I have a 1080 Ti even though I don't. And so that's one of the things I really loved about Red Matter. The music is really cool that plays in the background. You know, that little mysterious music that it's always playing. It kind of feels like you're in like an alien movie or like 2001 A Space Odyssey or something. You know, it kind of has that like unsettling music that's kind of going on in the background, Event Horizon or something like that. So it has that music. Now on the negative side, they play that music over and over and over again. And you know, so they play it ad nauseum. It's great freaking music, but damn, they should switch it up a little bit. The other thing that I would kind of go negative on Red Matter is the very ending. I thought it kind of crossed over the goofiness threshold a little bit in the story. And I don't want to spoil anything, but like, you know, some of the pictures that you see on the wall and the posters and stuff, it kind of got almost a little campy, you know, and a little stereotypical with that. But man, Red Matter, it's up there. Yeah, Terry Blanchard, want to play Red Matter. Haven't installed Revive. Yeah, wow. So you haven't been playing any of the Oculus exclusives if you haven't installed Revive. See, the thing about Revive is it kind of sucks a little bit because you're not getting the full experience when you're playing these games on Revive. I lived with a Vive and no Rift for a lengthy period of time, and all I had was Revive to deal with and the regular Vive wands, and I was playing Robo Recall, and I was playing I think Killing Floor Incursion. I was playing that when I didn't have a Rift yet. There's a lot of Rift games that I played originally through the Vive with Vive wands, and I gotta tell you that when you get an actual Rift with the actual controllers, all of those games, it's like the game could be 100, you could rate it 100, but if you're playing it through Revive, you're only getting 85%, I think, of that experience. And to get 100% of that experience, you kind of have to have an Oculus Rift. And I know that that is like the antithesis of the way PC should be with openness and all of this. But, you know, it kind of seems like it isn't fair. It isn't fair that you have to pay $400. It's like if you had to buy another monitor, like if there's a number of these games on PC gaming, but you got to have a specific Acer or LG monitor to be able to play those games, and that's the only way you can play those games, and you got to buy this $400 monitor. It's just such an unnecessary expense. But if you guys are not like anti-Facebook and anti-Oculus from like a political standpoint and all of that, I think it's worth the $400 to also have a Rift. I mean, I know that's a lot of freaking money to throw out there, and tax and shipping, and you know you're going to have to buy another sensor, and you're probably going to have to buy a freaking Initech USB card. So yeah, it is a rabbit hole. It is a rabbit hole, but damn, you get the good controllers, guys. Like these controllers, they just melt into your hand. Look at it, it's just so comfy. It's so comfy. This isn't an Oculus Rift commercial, but I gotta be honest with you guys, these freaking controllers, oh my goodness, they just melt into your hands. And so the thing is, if you got a Rift and you start playing on your Rift, even though the tracking can be a little bit janky, the Vive tracking, I mean, it's beautiful to have lighthouses and just have 2 lighthouses, and you don't have a million wires going across your screen. But man, these things are a bonus like a mofo. That's why I cannot believe, like, HTC Vive, what are you guys doing? Like, the Pro doesn't tempt me at all because it still has the old wands. So they need to come up with a new controller, knuckles or not. You know, they could, I mean, one of the things they could do with the Vive wands is like, HTC, why don't you guys just lower this, just reduce it, put it in a little machine and shrink it 20%. Just make the Vive wands 20% smaller. If that's all they did, I think there would be a bonus for that. Okay, let me go ahead and check out some of the comments in... So Paradise Decay, he's saying at Jablo, Seeking Dawn is about 10 hours of content. Vista are stunning, but there is some grinding to get materials to build new weapons, etc. Yeah, see, I've heard a lot about the grinding and all of that. And, you know, the thing about that is, like, these kind of survival games, Subnautica is similar, in a similar boat, The Forest. I think it's kind of one of these situations where you cannot play an unlimited number of survival games. Like, you can only play so many like you can only play probably one at a time. Like I think you could only really be into one of them, and so you got to make a decision. And right now for me, it's Subnautica all the way. I know I am late as hell to the party, but we're talking about a top 20 VR game here, folks. Let's see what else people say. Oh, Paradise Decay, Anthony, when is the next podcast? Now I don't know. Are you talking about VR Roundtable? The next VR Roundtable is taking a break right now. We are going to have a podcast, I believe, probably like the last day of July. I think the last Sunday of July is like July 29th or something. We'll probably record an episode on that day, but I'm not positive on that. I'm going to be going to Hawaii for like a week in August, so I will not be doing any shows on any channels at that point. When is the next episode of this program, like VR Game Rankings? Well, at the beginning of this show, and I should probably go over this again. So right now, I simply do not have time to do my normal kind of VR Game Rankings show, because what I was telling people at the beginning is it's basically about a 10-hour commitment is what I have. It's about 10 hours because I have to do show prep. I have to get the news topics and stuff that I'm going to be talking about. Then I have to record the show, which doesn't take very long at all. Then I have to edit the audio, and I actually do 2 different passes on editing the audio. I edit the audio one type of way, and then when I'm done with that, I edit the audio a different kind of a way. And it's a lot of audio editing, really. And then the video editing is the most time-consuming part of it, that the video editing, and I don't really count the rendering as part of that or the uploading as part of that, but it's a 10-hour investment. And to say, okay, I'm going to set aside 10 hours, I just don't have that time right now. So this, like doing a little live show like this is easy as pie. This, I can turn on these lights, I can turn on this camera, I can have my mic set up, and I can just get OBS up and running, bam, pop this on, and I can just talk about anything VR related. And so this is easy as pie to do. Now, will anybody give a damn about this? Because nobody was watching when I was doing my VR Game Rankings daily vlog. The very first daily vlogs, they looked like this. They had this 4:3 video window, and there was no graphics of any sort. One thing I could try learning how to do at some point is fix this so it is a 16:9 screen. And I know there has to be ways like to get really fancy where you can like have trailers of games that are pre-downloaded and you have them in a certain folder or whatever, and you're using some type of software where I just hit a couple buttons and I could have a trailer playing over in a corner. There's ways you can do that, but that is like the kids like to say, you're doing too much. It's kind of like that. It's almost like, I don't know if I want to go down that road. You know, this commitment, there's no commitment. It's turning on a couple of things and just going off the cuff. So let me try to check out chat here. Okay, Chris Gould is saying this works very well. D-Dub says, agree, great format. Yeah, where were you guys when I first started? Because no one gave a damn. Maybe it's just because there wasn't a lot of people that knew about it. Love the live stream format, by the way, a natural fit. Yeah, so I mean, if this is actually entertaining, then that would be sweet. Okay, John Bardo has an interesting question. He's saying, how are your VR arcade plans coming along? And basically, I'll say, you know what? That's part of the reason that I don't have the 10 hours, actually. This is very much part of the reason I don't have the 10 hours. I'm actually very excited about a very specific kind of VR arcade thing that I want to do. That the nice thing about it is the investment is such that I'm not like investing my life savings, you know what I mean? And so I'm definitely working on that. That is something I'm very much working on, but I'm not going to say anything about it until I'm like more ready to launch, because on it, you know, it's a competitive industry as well, and like my name and my logo and a lot of things like that have not been finalized and stuff, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but definitely loving this new VR arcade concept idea that I have, that I really do want. I'm hoping to launch the business. My hope is to start, like actually have it up and running by October 1st. That would be ideal. So I'm working on that with the idea of starting it up on October 1st. The Persistence for PSVR releases next week. Any thoughts on how it will be? This is by Kev Great, maybe. You know, the Persistence, like the Persistence is not something to sleep on, like straight up, because on the PSVR demo disc 2, they had a Persistence demo on there, and I thought it was pretty good. Like, it kind of has a little bit of this Dead Space kind of a vibe to it. It is a roguelike, you know, it's a roguelike, so you're like dying and starting over and all of that. And I don't know, I'm interested in the Persistence, and that is coming out now. You know, honestly, if you told me I could either play 3 hours of the Persistence or 3 hours of Marvel Powers United VR, I might actually choose the Persistence. But that's because I'm a freaking Dead Space. Like, I love Dead Space. So anything that can kind of give me a Dead Space vibe, like EA, it kind of sucks that EA is so anti-VR, because, oh my God, they could just take Dead Space 1 and make that in VR. That would be freaking amazeballs. You know, so that would be absolutely awesome. Let's see what other little messages we got here on this. Okay. Oh, VR Roundtable. Yeah, VR Roundtable, Paradise Decay. Like I said, we're not doing an episode until like July 29th. So it'd be probably the next Monday after that. I hope you will answer my question from a minute ago. This is Falling Black Snow. I am just hoping for knuckle-like controllers, but that's high hopes. Maybe you know what they've changed. Okay, so I guess you're talking about HTC Vive, right? Well, yeah, we all would hope for knuckles-like controllers. You know, really, the real dream there is, remember when we were having the shortage, and we're still having this shortage for HTC Vive, the regular, normal, standard HTC Vive package. There still is a shortage out there, and we've heard that it's a particular component, and this is only affecting the USA. But wouldn't it be awesome if there was a conspiracy theory that the reason that there's a shortage is because there is a new Vive package that will include Knuckles, and Valve's VR game, one of them, will come out the same day, Portal VR. You know, I mean, how freaking amazing and that would be a shot in the arm that VR desperately needs for Valve. Like, where is Valve? All this time, where is Valve? Speaking of Valve and VR, what about Half-Life 2 VR mod? Where's my boy ArrowNX? I don't really talk to ArrowNX too much anymore, because I used to sign into a specific Steam account, and my buddy ArrowNX, like, he would hit me up on chat, and we would chat back and forth, kind of like the state of VR and stuff. Haven't talked to my boy ArrowNX in quite some time. And the reason I'm mentioning him is because he was always telling me, dude, Half-Life 2 VR mod, it's just around the corner, man. It's going to come out any day now. Half-Life 2 VR mod, it's going to be awesome. Here we are. Dude, he was talking to me about this stuff like October 2017, November 2017, saying it's just any day now, Half-Life 2 VR mod. I'm looking at my calendar here. It is July 17th. And we have no Half-Life 2 VR mod. What the hell happened to that? But yeah, talking about the Knuckles thing, I can't wait. You know, I can't wait till we have Knuckles is a weird situation too, because I have an Oculus Rift. I'm playing everything on Oculus Rift. What happens when Knuckles comes out? They don't have Knuckles for the Rift, so now I got to buy an HTC Vive and have one on the side if I'm going to get any Knuckles action whatsoever. So what a conundrum that creates for all of us Oculus Rift diehards out there that are surviving with only a Rift right now, that will be a conundrum, especially when Valve has their game that is tailor-made to the brand new Knuckles controller. There could be a giant wave of Oculus Rift owners that are like, God damn it, I gotta buy a Vive 2. Now we're gonna have a multi-VR household with multiple VR headsets in the same household. Because what are you gonna do? What are you guys gonna do? Let's see what else is going on in chat. Oh, Chris Richardson is bouncing out of here. Time for me to bounce out later, bro. Yeah, this chat, you know, this stream has lasted almost an hour. That's kind of crazy. Speaking of Valve, think we'll ever get Portal VR? This is by Alex Badawi. Yeah, Portal VR is my #1 guess. Like, I'm telling you, I would wager thousands of dollars that one of the 3 games is some type of Portal VR. Oh, Falling Black Snow says, thanks for answering, but I meant for the Santa Cruz model. It has some problems with the trackpad, so they're changing with thumbstick. Yeah, you know, well, the thumbstick, maybe you know what they're changing, maybe future Knuckles on Rift. It would be so awesome if Valve, and I don't know why they wouldn't do this, would be willing to license the Knuckles design to Oculus, and Oculus could come out with Knuckles as an option that would have all the Oculus sensors all over it, and it would just be an option. You know, why not? That would be smooth. Snail Mail Games, did you see Doom 1 VR? It looks pretty awesome. Yeah, you know, I've heard a lot about this. They actually have the control, the guns in 3D, which that is super exciting. But I've heard that there's something about the mod or whatever not working right on Rifts or something. God, what is it? There's something about it where supposedly it's not working right on Rift. So I have not tried the new version of Doom 1 VR. I haven't tried that. Chris Gould is saying you can play Dead Space in Vortex. Yeah, I'm sure you can. You know, people swear by that. Like, some people have sworn by Resident Evil in Vortex, like playing it like that, and that it's almost the same. Sunny in VR says persistence has aim support tight, probably aim support right, question mark, is probably what he's saying. And I think so. I think it has aim support. The problem with the aim controller, though, and I believe that if you're in a VR game that you have a shotgun or you have an assault rifle or you have any two-handed weapon, I think the aim controller can work great for that. But if you're in a VR game where you got 2 pistols and you have an aim controller, like, how does that work? I don't have an aim controller, so I haven't tried it with the 2 pistols thing. Let's see what else we could... I only came across this by chance, could have missed it easily. You need to publish the dates for future live streams, then we will all be here. Yeah, you know, my plan of attack, if this is possible, my plan of attack is 10 a.m. Pacific to every day at 10 a.m. Pacific. But, you know, some days I might have to go somewhere or do, you know, sometimes I might have something. But, I mean, I could pop on for a half an hour and do this. This is not a problem. This is easy as hell. I just don't know. It might be a little bit too boring, you know, because I'm like looking at the internet, you know, there's downtime and all of that. The Jordan Complex, random, but why do you think more companies haven't focused more on a pass-through AR experience? I feel like the market could really use it. Well, you know, that is one huge advantage that the Vive Pro does have. And we did see a couple little video sequences of some different AR pass-through type things, and we haven't heard much of that. And so, but that could be an incredibly compelling feature for the Vive Pro. And, you know, for Oculus CV2, I think it really needs to put 2 cameras on there as well. I think that, like, I think when you think about future VR headsets, if you're trying to have a legitimate VR headset that is going to be a mainstream VR headset going forward, like if you're releasing in 2019 or later, I think there's a few things that every VR headset should have. One of them is eye tracking. I think they all need to have built-in eye tracking. I don't know how much that is going to add to the cost of your overall headset, but I think 2019, it's mandatory. Eye tracking needs to come to all headsets. I think 2 external cameras need to come to all headsets. Why not? You know, it's not adding a ton of cost, and even if all you were using it for was nothing but just pass through, so like you don't run into things, you know, I mean, just that bare necessity, nothing else. I think that should be standard. And then you know, so these are some things that I think should be coming to all future VR headsets 2019. Yeah, let's add AR into it. There's no reason why we can't add some AR stuff into it. I don't even want to talk about Magic Leap. You know what? I'm going to save my thoughts on Magic Leap tomorrow, 10 a.m. And that way I can also do a post in the Magic Leap subreddit, and I'll tell everybody there tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm going to go into a big live stream talk about what happened at the last Magic Leap thing, because it's still interesting, guys. It's still interesting. And I know that was crazy what happened at Magic Leap. Absolutely bonkers. Like, so many people have now just said, Magic Leap, just write it off like it's done. It's a complete and utter disaster. You know, that's a lot of people. I don't know that I would go that far. I was disappointed with the demo, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow at 10 a.m. So I'm planning on trying to do these live streams at 10 a.m. Okay, 10 a.m. Pacific time. 10 a.m. Pacific time. Where the hell is RE7 VR for PC? This is by Shirzad Khan City. Yeah, where is Resident Evil 7? Like, what is Capcom doing? That's money. You know, since when do companies look at free money and say, I don't want free money? Because they could spend $50,000 paying a handful of programmers just to kind of make some minor adjustments and have RE7 perfectly playable on a PC with a 360 controller with joypad, and it's perfectly playable like that. That's how I played it on PlayStation VR. Now the downside is, see, PSVR has a track controller. The other thing PSVR has is the headset has lights all around it, so you can turn around 360. So when I was playing Resident Evil 7 on PSVR, I held my controller like this, and I just turned in whatever direction I was going to go, and I just pushed forward. And so it was still very immersive to me, and they could do that on PC VR without any problem. And, you know, they could spend 50 grand, a couple programmers for, you know, 3 weeks and be able to bang that thing out and just kind of shit it out on Steam and Oculus, and they could charge $29.99 for it, and I'm sure they would still sell a shit ton of them. The other thing that they could have done with it is go all out and actually have legit, you know, give you actual hands and guns and have it like straight motion controller tracked. I mean, that would be the dream. They could do that. That would require a much bigger investment. And maybe, you know, that's what we have to be thinking. Maybe that's what they're doing. You know, maybe that's what they're doing, and maybe that's what the holdup is, but it is all quiet on the Western Front. We have not heard a peep out of Capcom about Resident Evil 7. So honestly, we still put it on VR game rankings as a most wanted game, but it's not up there, and it's going to continue to fall further down. It's almost like just a complete rumor at this point. Terry Blanchard, can't wait until controllers are long, seductive gloves. Okay, that's kind of interesting. You know, I'm looking forward to gloves. I am. You know, I don't know. I mean, what do you really do with controlling stuff in VR? Because one of the things I've thought about is if you had a Leap Motion, let's say you had a Leap Motion on your headset, right? And it's tracking your hands. It's doing a damn good job of tracking your hands. And then if you had a fake little VR gun, and so you have your real hands in VR, and you pick up your fake VR gun. And so you're holding your fake VR gun, and it has a little bit of kick and rumble to it, but your hands are separate from that. That might be kind of cool. But I still feel like there's got to be something that we just put on our digits. Like even if it was just little things that we slid onto, or maybe even 3 of our fingers, and it would like zzz, 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 you know, give us a little bit. So you hit a button, you get a zzz, you get a little zzz. It's got to be something like that, because otherwise, I mean, you can't just have gloves with, you know, there has to be some kind of tactile feedback. We definitely need that. Shirzad Khan City, is Serious Sam 3 better than the first 2? I don't know. Can you believe I still have not tried any Serious Sam games? That is my claim to shame right there. I'm starting to get hungry, so I'm going to have to stop this stream pretty soon for lunch. We've actually gone over an hour here, so that was pretty good. But yeah, guys, so anyways, here's the plan of attack. So tomorrow is, oh, you know what? Tomorrow we have the lawnmower, guys. That could be a problem. Because the lawnmower, I mean, it's one thing to have air conditioner noises, airplanes flying over, but lawnmowers, that could be a problem. But I'll try to do the 10 a.m. thing, and we'll just see what happens. But yeah, so I'm going to try to do this 10 a.m. live stream kind of a thing. And sometimes it will just be completely off the fly with no topic. Sometimes maybe I'll have some type of specific topic. Actually, tomorrow, what I'm going to try to do is Magic Leap. I want to talk about that last Twitch stream for Magic Leap. And I want to kind of talk about, am I still interested in Magic Leap? Is Magic Leap a complete and utter flop? So I want to get into that tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's the hope. Hopefully we won't have lawnmowers going right at 10 a.m. And then, you know, I guess we'll just play it from there. But I'm going to try to do these little live streams at 10 a.m. and see how that works. Let's see if there's any other questions I can get to real quick before I bounce out of here. Are you going to buy Primax? Yeah, so I don't know, man. It's Pimax, right? I heard some, you know, I heard these rumors, like, you know how recently there was like this leak of like Pimax 8K is having all these incredible problems that are behind the scenes, but you know, everybody like Sweeviver and all of them, they've all been NDA'd, so they can't talk about it, and it's like a complete and utter disaster that is going on behind the scenes. I don't know what's going on with that, man. But I can tell you, you know, here's my strategy in regards to Pimax is I am waiting until the thing goes out to thousands of people. You know, when thousands of regular Joe Schmoes get their hands on the Pimax and they go hammerhead style. And what I'm really curious to see is like 2 months after that. I want to see what people are saying 2 months after they go hammerhead. And do they still think it is, you know, the best thing since sliced bread? And if that's the case, then, man, it would be incredibly tempting not to go Pimax. But for me, I would want it to be Pimax combined with Knuckles. You know, so Pimax headset, I don't know what lighthouses, and then combined with Knuckles. I think that would be a pretty sweet combo. Because if I'm going to get Knuckles and I really want to have Knuckles, I have to have a Steam VR type headset to use Knuckles with it. So, you know, you're kind of in a situation there. Let's see if there's any other questions, and then I'm going to go ahead and bounce out of here. Am I looking forward to Santa Cruz? Sure. I'm absolutely looking forward to Santa Cruz because I truly believe that wireless, I got into this rant a little earlier. I believe that the umbilical cord just has to go. I don't think VR is ever going to be crazy mainstream where everybody, like, you're not going to go to Giant Bomb and they're going to be all VR. You know, and they're going to be straight up VR. That is not going to happen until we have wireless VR headsets, 6 degrees of freedom on the headset and on the controller. And the graphics don't necessarily need to be mind-boggling. You know, I mean, Magic Leap, for example, is going to have the Tegra X2, right? Which is one chipset beyond what's in the Nintendo Switch. So, but now, of course, you're talking about doing 2 different images at 90 frames a second. and that will make it very difficult to have these like really immersive photoreal kind of experiences. But we can concentrate on more stylized visuals like windlands and stuff like that that look absolutely great. They look fantastic. And I really do, we've got to go wireless. There's no question. We're never going to break into the mainstream with these wired headsets. Wired headsets are for enthusiasts, you know. So when 1180s come out, there will be a surge of VR sales, possibly. VR is affordable with PSVR. It's the sickness and lack of... No, but here's the problem with PSVR. You want to talk about wires? PSVR has got a million freaking wires because it's got this processing box. You know, it wasn't designed very elegantly. Then the other thing with PSVR is the controllers. The controllers were not designed to be VR controllers. You know... going back to these little melt in your hands controllers, if PSVR had these kind of controllers, man, it would really change the game for PSVR. If PSVR had really legit native controllers like this, that would be incredible. And PSVR 2 should very well have that. And you know, there were a lot of rumors on NeoGAF talking about PS5 in 2019, PS5 in November 2019. And if that really happened, there is an outside chance for PSVR 2 to launch right alongside it, although it might be delayed by 1 year because they figure, well, people only have enough money to buy PS5. They don't have enough money to buy both of them. That's just too much for gamers to swallow in one fell swoop. So that could be a possibility. Isn't there a new PSVR controller due? There isn't going to be a new PSVR controller anytime soon. They can't switch it up now because you're talking about an add-on to an add-on. It's not going to work. It has to be PSVR 2. It has to be a completely different tracking mechanism, not using optical light. It has to be something different, either using kind of what Oculus is using or something similar to the Vive with having some kind of lighthouses. I think the lighthouse idea is better, and having a battery that's in a lighthouse. You charge it up every 2 weeks. It has enough power to hold, and you place them in the corners of the room. There's no wires going anywhere. I think that's what PSVR needs to do. So anyway. Well, anyway, guys, you know what? I've been going for a while here. We are at the 1 hour and 11 minutes mark. I think I'm going to go ahead and call this the first little stream. And, you know, hopefully this was relatively successful. Wasn't incredibly boring. And basically what I'm going to do is, this is something I can do because it's pretty simple. Turning on some lights, turning on a camera, just starting a live stream and just going off the top of my head, covering news or whatever. So I think this will work out okay. So I'm going to try to keep doing this, and I'm not sure when I'm going to get back to regular episodes. That's going to be a little while. But basically that's going to go ahead and do it for this stream. And try tuning in at 10 a.m. tomorrow. It is the lawnmower day for our landscapers come on Wednesday. So, but you know, we'll just play it by ear. If it's a disaster, I'll just stop the live stream early and delay it by an hour or something like that. So we'll just go ahead and do that. All right, then. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Take it easy. Let's see, how do I stop this? Okay, I think I stop it over here.